We're going to devote our energies to sports and gardening, all the cultural pursuits as far as they're concerned. In fact, we're going to put the goons to sleep. Meanwhile, we dig.
Greetings, this is Byrne, the Anadromist, from Tbilisi, Georgia. Yeah, look that up on the map. It's on the other side of the world. It's not in America. And I've got an announcement to make. And the announcement is that I am creating a subscription service for this channel so that you can get things that are only on the other side of the paywall. And these will be things you will be interested in. If you find my discussions interesting or my lectures interesting, then you'll want to pay attention to this now. So the first thing I want to say is you may have noticed I just put on a L'Abri lecture from wrong century. Although I do have some from the 20th century. From 2005, and it's called Noise Enters Music. It's a lecture about the history of music and how noise came into it. And I mentioned in that video that it's a telescoped version, which means I've severely shortened the time on the music so that I don't have to pay for any kind of royalties related to it. And it seems to have worked. I checked. Nobody's made a copyright strike on me, so I'm fine. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because YouTube has their algorithms are extremely clever. I once put a piece of music on, I slowed it down. I thought I'd disguised it very well. No, they found it, copyright. I did that on another one where I had it stuck in all sorts of noise, slowed down, they heard it. In fact, they thought it was another recording of the same artist, of a different artist doing the same song. Really funny. But it's gotten really strange on YouTube. Plus, there's another issue related to words that you say. If you say certain words, your video is going to be automatically demonetized. For instance, if you mention the name of the group of Germans who fought in World War II, you're automatically demonetized. Same with mentioning the name of the person in charge, Adolf Hitler. So, you're automatically demonetized. I'm not expecting this video to get monetized. It's just an announcement, so I can say whatever I want, really. They don't censor you, but, for instance, even as someone pointed out recently, just using the word illegal immigrant is so politically incorrect among the Silicon Valley set that gets you demonetized, which is weird because it's a legal phrase in America. It has nothing to do with either aliens from outer space or the fact that we don't want immigrants in this country. But it's such a hot topic that, who knows what they're looking for now. So having thought of that, I thought I need to put some of that stuff I've done, particularly some of my older lectures where I really don't care about either copyrights or what I say, on the other side of the paywall where I won't have any issues with it, and you can have access to it. So one of the things that's there is obviously the extended noise lecture where you get to hear all of the noise and the music. And that becomes, I think it makes the lecture a lot more understandable. It's understandable now, you shouldn't have any problems, but that makes it much, much more comprehensive. More importantly, I did a series of 3 lectures in 2005 when I did the noise lecture, again back in L'Abri in Switzerland, where I it was 3 lectures on San Francisco in the 1960s. Not only does it include lots of musical examples, tons of them, but it also includes quotes, audio quotes from so many different people about the times. I am sure this would just give the algorithms copyright nightmares. And I don't feel like telescoping at all. I didn't make it for YouTube. I made it as a lecture. And you'll see that when people give lectures these days, so often they have to, they're thinking of it being on YouTube, so they're leaving material out. Well, I didn't leave any material out. And this is 5 hours worth of lectures. So if you're interested in that, the only way it's going to be an audio only. The only way you're going to get in touch with it as a podcast is through the paywall. Another thing is, because again, I play really long examples. I really like to do that. So you really get a flavor of particularly in this case, of the times. I've also got an introduction to punk rock that's about, from a class I did that's about 2 hours long. That's in the 1970s only. I've got another 2.5-hour lecture I did for a class once on musical meaning. I've got these on my computer now. That's how I know I can pass them on. But again, these don't feel like they're quite YouTube material, but nevertheless, I think someone might be interested in hearing them. And when I say musical meaning, I don't mean the meaning of the lyrics. I mean the meaning of the music itself. And I liberally quote from Leonard Bernstein in this, and other people. I play long examples of music to try to understand what music means. There's also a lecture of 2 lectures I did. I believe it was around the year 2000. It could have been 1996. Actually, I think it was 1996. It was 2 lectures on the meaning of the image, what images mean. It includes symbolic kind of things. If you're a Jonathan Peugeot fan, you would love some of these lectures. And I really get into discussing the meaning of images in our times and how, for instance, you don't do anything without forming an image in your mind first of it. Whether it's committing criminal acts or love or anything, you put images in your mind. Therefore, the images that affect you from outside have something to do with what you're doing. So if your primary sense of what love is comes from things on the internet of an adult nature, you're in deep trouble when it comes to forming human relationships, particularly love relationships, because of the images already in your mind. If you want to understand that. Well, the reason I'm not, that would actually be a prime candidate for putting on the Anadromist site channel, but in fact, the sound quality isn't good enough. I can clean it up and make it sound so you can hear all the words, but I'm not particularly happy with the sound quality. And I'll probably discuss these things at some point on the Anadromist, but if you want to get my longer thoughts on the subject, this is a good way to do it. Then I did a series called The Word as Spoken. Now, this was a radio show back at KHNS in Haines, Alaska. It was an NPR station. I worked there for about 10 years, we'll say. And I did this show for about 9 years. There's a lot of stuff on that. But the only one I have with me at the moment is the introductory one, which discusses what is the spoken word. Now that sounds like normal, it's people speaking, or some people think it's poetry, but it includes things like audio actualities from news broadcasts, it includes comedy, includes plays, includes physical fitness records where, Jane Fonda or Arnold Schwarzenegger, there's a great one with Arnold Schwarzenegger going like, we're doing what I call the squats, So if you want to hear my definition of what spoken word is, there are actually lots more of these back in Alaska, and I'll mention that in a minute. So those are all, there's about 15 hours of stuff on the other side of the paywall. I forgot to mention the most controversial one that's going to be behind the paywall, and that is I did a lecture a couple years ago at L'Abri in 2017 on minstrel music in America. This is the most taboo subject in American music history because it deals with people putting black all over their faces and pretending to be black who are actually not black, who are white. So, and there's a lot of the N-word is liberally used in some of these old songs. We have we've got, just the imagery, based on raccoons, shall we say, is such that it's all hot, and it remains hot as molten lava today. So the only way you're going to find out, it isn't my point to in this lecture to do anything but to just show you the roots of American music and to basically say, hey, there's no way you can get around cultural appropriation. It's just, that is American music history. That is, in fact, music history almost everywhere these days. So if you're interested in that, that is going to be a video with lots of visual material. But the only place you're going to find that is on the other side of the paywall. All the rest of this, for now, is going to be audio material. And the way I'm going to get it to you is to subscribe through PayPal. I will get your email address by doing that. Then I'll send it to you through WeTransfer. But I'll discuss the hows in a minute. Coming up on the Anadromist channel, by the way, you do know I have another channel called the Anadromist Life. And that on that channel has been mostly for documents. And in fact, the reason I got the idea to kind of set up this subscription service and also to do this channel in total is because I found myself getting a lot of views over there. I've got some videos with 70,000, 50,000. I think I've got 20,000 or more people who've watched one of my puppet videos there, a lecture on puppetry. That was also a Liberty lecture, but I'm leaving that over there with the other puppet stuff. And the other one has 5,000 or more views. And I could have been monetizing those, and they're all like over an hour and a half, those two videos. But instead, I realized, well, one thing, I've only got 500 only. It's amazing to think about 500 subscribers on that channel. I build up the subscribers slowly over there. So that's one issue. So I don't make enough. It's more for, like I say, documents. But that gave me the idea. I've got these videos that people are watching and I'm not getting a thing for them. It's all my work. So what the heck? The other thing is that, so I started this video, this channel, The Anadromist, and this is for me talking and also all these lectures I've got lying around. So coming up in the near future will be the most controversial lecture I probably ever gave, but I can put this on this side for everyone, is called Conceptual Humanity, where I discuss, okay, well, if all there is our own definition of who we are, then we choose to be anything. And that becomes a real problem. If we have no baseline definition for what it means to be human, well, that has to do with a lot of the talk of identity we have today. But it goes from everything from endless makeovers and people imitating their favorite rock stars all the way through to, well, of course, there's a lot of contemporary issues get discussed on the way through. We'll put it to you that way. And it ends up with things like robots and dolls and sex. It's all kind of weird. But if you want to find out more about that, stick around. In a month or two, probably the Conceptual Humanity lecture will get on the Anadromist here, and you'll want to pay attention to that one. And that one will probably bring me some heat because I'm not mincing my words. It brought me heat when I gave the lecture, and then since then, things have only seemed to slide more in that direction. And I did one last October in 2018, The Meaning of Beauty, which was partially inspired by reading Roger Scruton's short book on beauty, and also, more importantly, last year, about a year and a half ago when I was at Liberty in Switzerland, I heard Ellis Potter talking about music and beauty. And I realized I've been thinking about beauty since about 1975, one way or another. And so I decided to do a lecture on beauty in Switzerland last year. That was also a little controversial, which was interesting. And I think it was controversial for the exact same reason that the Conceptual Humanity one is. Because people, we want everyone to be equal. So as soon as you say someone is more beautiful in some manner, then people start getting like, whoa, what are you saying? Someone's better than another person? And I'll let you wait for that to come around. But it also deals with more than just human beauty. But human beauty is one of the subjects. Meanwhile, I am here. And I have a storage shed back in Alaska that has all my stuff in it. And I've got 3 libraries there of stuff that has to come here. And that's a whole problem in and of itself, which I'll mention more in a second. But what's back there that'll eventually go behind the paywall, my time and memory lectures from 1993. They may be also in the same condition that the image lectures are, and that is to say that they will only be good if I clean them up and put them behind the paywall. However, I will say those are probably the most important lectures I've done because it involves why do we have so much trouble with meaning in our society? And the answer has to do with time and memory. That's all I'm going to say. I am going to discuss these things in a more conversational context here, coming up in the not too distant future. But those lectures were what I did is right after I came up with these ideas. That's about 3 hours long. There were also a 5-part series on propaganda that I did in the 1980s. Going back also, there were music-related music-related talks that I gave going back to 1979, jeepers. And there was one I did in 1980 at Sonoma State University in California, right after I'd come back from Le Brie in Switzerland. That was about, punk rock, horror films, and fashion photography and the relationships between them. That's when I was first starting to get like these ideas. So then there's also the big thing that's back in California. Well, there's lots of big stuff there. But as far as material that will eventually go on the other side of the paywall once I get it here, there is an 88-part series on the history of the 20th century that I did on The Word is Spoken, just using audio actualities and discussing them. And I was able to get away with this because at the time they were not streaming, so no one knew what I was doing, because I was in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, a small town, Haines, Alaska. Beautiful place, you should visit it. Do I get any money from the Haines Bureau for the Bureau of the Haines Bureau for promoting the town? Probably not, but you should really go. But that is quite a series. It's a lot of it, but that's the kind of thing that'll be behind the paywall eventually. It'll probably take a couple of years for me to get my stuff here, although you could help me get it here sooner. But finally, I will like to say I am going to be making special stuff, special videos that include a lot of copyrighted content or other things that I'm going to do on the other side of the paywall, besides whatever I do in front of the camera here. So if you want to be a part of it, then you really should. Let me give you the reason why I'm doing this. Like I said, I started the other channel. I noticed that I had stuff that really should be monetized and wasn't being monetized. There were two important factors these days in YouTube's whether they monetize you or not. And one of those factors is, how many subscribers do you have? Well, right now, I've got about 500 plus on the other channel. And that grows slowly. Because like I say, it's documents, people discover it slowly. I haven't put any time into promoting it, really. On this channel, though, in 2 months, I've gotten close to 100 subscribers, which is good. I mean, that's only 2 months, and I put a modicum of promotion into it. But more importantly, the other criteria is for for you to have at least 4,000 minutes of viewing each month. I've got up to 9,000 minutes of viewing for the last 2 months, each month. So, and that's because these are incredibly long lectures most of the time, lectures and discussions. So, because of that, and those numbers will only grow because people are going to go back and watch the older lectures or the older discussions, because that's how I designed this channel. That's why they're numbered 1 through 3, so you can know, I've got to go back and watch the early How We Got Here videos. I'm clever, I guess. So, but what's happened is that I arrived, I expected certain things to happen when I traveled and came to live in Georgia. I was promised a job here helping to design a puppet and doll museum. And I was also thought I had some money coming to me from an international institute, artistic institute, we'll say, in France, that had promised to help me with my documentary, Gravity from Above, which is a documentary about the meaning of puppetry in Europe in the 21st century. So, and it's a project I've been working on for a while. I have a whole separate website for that. Well, I discovered a couple of things. One, the French, for various reasons, couldn't give me the money I was hoping for. And in fact, I kind of made a faux pas and put some stuff on video that they hadn't quite given me permission for, because there's a law now in France that basically I had no idea about, but it's probably the most draconian law I've ever seen when it comes to privacy. Thank you, French government. But basically, you practically have to get someone's written permission to put any images online of anyone in France. So I suppose I could go around and sue myself for putting my images of myself in France. So, and so I made a mistake and did some of that, and they're not really talking to me now. So the money I was hoping to get for translations for the documentary and other related things didn't come through. I was hoping that there would be enough money there to help me here in Georgia. So then there was not. So then I got here and I was hoping that this museum project would start. Well, let me put in a nutshell what happened. I got here and the name of the game is bureaucracy. And it's bureaucracy the Georgians inherited from the Soviet Union, which they haven't shaken themselves off from yet. They've shaken the Soviet Union and Russia off, that's for sure, but not the bureaucratic systems. So I don't know when it's going to start. Meanwhile, I've been given kind of a placeholding job. And I went in with a very low amount in mind of how much I would get paid per month here, based on what I thought my expenses would be. And let's put it to you this way. It was a lot lower than that. And it was basically what a lot of people get here when they work at a, entry-level job. And what that was without giving you the amount, let's put it to you this way. In a long day of tourism in Alaska in the summer, that's how much I'm making in a month here. Do you understand? So what's happening, though, is my expenses are actually 3 times that much. So I'm hemorrhaging whatever money I saved here, just having to pay for things. And I was paying even more when I first got here. Plus, there was the expenses of the trip, when I thought I had more money to play with. And then there is the fact that there would be, like, I went and applied for a residence permit. That was a couple $100. Then I've spent at least 500 American, maybe 600 American on the fact that my computer died and I had to get things repaired. And then I had more problems and had to buy a small replacement computer because I have to have the MacBook Pro 2012 edition because that still has the CD slot, which I need. Why don't they still have it? Because no one's supposed to have CDs anymore. You're supposed to stay technologically in line, and I'm not doing it. So what's happening to me? I still have CDs at home and vinyl records and books. Jeepers, I should just give it all up. I have DVDs and Blu-rays. I should give them up and just go wireless and join the floating masses who have no conception of what the material world is anymore. I should do this, but I'm not going to. And in fact, I do have another large payment coming up soon, and that is I'm going to have to pay about $1,100 on my storage facility in Alaska for the next year because I'm obviously not bringing my stuff here this year, which is going to cost about $6,000 or $7,000 all told to get my stuff here. But I'm not ready to do that yet because I'm not sure about this place as a permanent place to stay. So anyway, that's personal practical stuff, but it helps you to know why I'm doing this. And that is that I find myself leaking money, getting to, things are going to get kind of tight here. Fortunately, I have another infusion of money coming in October, which will help me for another half year or more here. But the truth is, the reason I set up this YouTube channel is because as soon as I realized what I was being paid here, and even though I'm supposed to get more money later, it's going to be on a Georgian scale. The nice thing is any small amount of money given to me back in from America or Western Europe comes here, and it turns into a lot of money. So, $25 here is like, almost a week's food or half a week. It's somewhere between a half and a week's food. Things are not that expensive. However, I am still leaking, they're not free either. And I'm still leaking and draining money off that I really have to deal with somehow. And I've got to deal with it before the end of the summer. So this is where you come in. Yeah, I used to work at an NPR station and knew how to pitch things. So there are 2 ways you can get beyond the paywall. One, you can donate, say, $50 or more at one shot. 2, you can pledge. You can donate $10 a month when you hit the PayPal link. You're offered these 2 options of a monthly subscription or a one-time shot. $10 here goes a long way per month. And how little is that in U.S. money? What is that? Is it a cup of coffee? In some places, yes. But, a couple of cups of coffee. It's like a cheap trip to McDonald's. It's, and $50, what's that? Like movie tickets for like 2 people and popcorn and buying, parking and all that. So, hey, I could use your help. It doesn't take much. And so if you feel like doing it, you can subscribe to me. So do it through PayPal. Now, some people may want to do it through Patreon. I don't have a Patreon account, and I'm not getting a Patreon account. And the reason I'm not getting a Patreon account is because I've seen the kind of shenanigans that have been going on with some content creators there. There's another thing called Subscribestar. I'm thinking of hooking up to that. It's kind of an alternative to Patreon that is a little less politically motivated. And so if you think I should do that, let me know in the comment section and I will consider doing that. If it's the difference between getting your subscription and not, I will probably do that. But meanwhile, PayPal probably takes the least percentage off. So if you give me, if you give me $10 through PayPal, I probably get $9.50 or something like that. So it's not bad at all. Yeah. So, but you know what? I'm amazed that people are actually watching this channel at all, and I appreciate anybody who does. And I really appreciate the fact that you're watching this right now. So, the Anadromist life, that's what I suggest that we all live, to go against the stream, to not do the predictable things. I'm not suggesting any political position here. I'm just simply saying, don't do what everyone else is doing, particularly if there are people in your propaganda block. Don't just do that because they're doing it. Think through things for yourself. Anadromist, remember, means swimming against the stream. It's what salmons do. So, live the Anadromist life. Swim against the stream.
A people without history is not redeemed from time. For history is a pattern of timeless moments.